Well, hello, everyone. Meet Tina here. Oops. Maureen, are you here?
Let's do this again.
All right, let's get back into this recording. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Meet Tina here. Well, we started this video and all of a sudden Maureen just disappeared into a 5D. Yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about, guys. How to get into 5D. This never happened to me before. It's like, hello, everyone. And boom, she just disappeared and then come back. I was like, whoa, Maureen, are you in 5D? Were you in 5D before? Was that what it is? So, guys, let's welcome the best-selling author, 6 books on Amazon.com. She has 25-year experience in teaching, and she's a founder of the St. Germain Mystery School for 25 years. 25 years. How about that? So let's welcome Maureen St. Germain.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And it was so fun meeting you at Shasta. So I'm so glad you liked the presentation and decided you wanted me on your show. It's wonderful. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much too for being here. You know, I really enjoy your talk. I really enjoy your energy very much. So this is the reason why I invite you to come back here and just share your, your knowledge, your wisdom with the audience here, because there's a lot of people. I have interviewed quite a few people, and there's a lot of audience who are wondering like, okay, when are we going into 5D? How are we getting into 5D? How do we know if we are in 5D already? So since you are an author of that book, How to Get into 5D and Stay There, I'm like, this is perfect timing that, we chose to interview you at this time. So
thank you. I've written a couple of books on 5D, and I'll have another one coming out maybe in a year or so. I'm working on now. The first one was called Waking Up in 5D, and this one is called Mastering Your 5D Self. And, your questions are good. Many people want to know, what is the definition of 5D and what's going to happen with their bodies and all kinds of cool stuff. So number one, 5D is a vibrational data set. So it is a place energetically that we connect to in such a way that we are able to access a higher vibe way of being, a higher vibe way of thinking and reacting. And what that does is causes us to become fifth dimensional. Now, in the old days, I think people thought that once they became fifth dimensional, they were there. And it's more like being a teenager and doing something, very mature, and then following it with something stupid, and then very mature, and then something stupid. And that's us. So we want to realize that our path is a sine wave, and the sine wave still goes at an angle, even though we're going up and down over where we're headed. So the definition that I like to give people to really get clarity is 5D is the version of the reality that we call heaven. So when somebody refers to heaven, they kind of have a feeling that their body works, everything's good there, relationships work, we have interactions. And so it's not boring, but it is a place of a higher degree of perfection. And the reason the higher degree of perfection exists is because we're so plugged in to source and who we really are, that choices we make are all on the side of unconditional love. There's never a choice that's about selfish me or only me being thought about. It's like when someone comes to your door, and maybe it's a good friend and you weren't expecting them, they were passing through the neighborhood and they thought they'd stop. You immediately welcome them. You want them to come in, you give them something to drink, you might even feed them. But there is a quality of behavior that you would consider. You don't even consider holding the door open and standing there talking to them. You wouldn't do that. And that's a 3D kind of a response. I'm not letting you in. So what happens in 5D is you still have lots of choices, but those choices become more aligned with your needs and the other person's needs. So, and finally, the body. Let's talk about the body. What happens with the body is we get perpetual youth. So we can reclaim whatever age we liked for ourselves. Think of that movie in What Dreams May Come, where each of Robin Williams' family members chose the body they felt most comfortable in. And, you know, it's quite exciting to see that, because many people choose to incarnate in the same culture, but then they might choose something completely random that's completely different. And then they come back to what their favorite is. So the body moves from a carbon-based body to a crystalline-based body. And one of the guided meditations that I created many years ago, called the Crystal Elohim, helps to anchor that in. And so if you're looking to find ways to anchor in your crystalline body, start doing that meditation. All my meditations are guided meditations. So they move us out of the monkey mind and into that wonderful state that we get into in meditation, simply by talking us off the ledge of, you know, chaos and stress. So that's part of what happens. So we become the Ascended Master you, the Ascended Master me. And as we do that, then we have more of the cities or more of the gifts available to us. And we're all learning and growing those gifts. So for example, one person might have their third eye opening, and another person might have their kinesthetic, their feeling sensations. And each of these things, if you notice that they're becoming active, work it, you know, ask to be shown, what can I do? How can I improve this? Because then you'll get an idea, and you might not realize that it's an idea that's an answer to your prayer, but it will open you up to an idea that you maybe had not considered. And then that'll take you to the next step. And there's lots of physical things you can do to enhance it as well. You can go upside down. Lots of people have those ankle chairs. I personally use a shoulder stand because I don't like my ankles being stretched out. Or some people actually go up in the triangle on the yoga stand. I used to be able to do that. And then of course there's the whole thing about youthing, and I'm going to be doing, I don't know when you're going to air this. Is it
probably like within a day or two? Usually
okay,
I'm
so
quick
get it
about
up
that.
because
Yeah.
I'm doing an annual youthing ceremony this week on the 9th, which would be Friday. And there is a small fee for it, but you know, everyone who has known me for 20 years is saying, how come you look so much younger than you did 20 years ago? And the answer is this primary thing is this youthing event where we access some vibrational energies that are coming in from the configuration of the full moon, and it's called the annual harvest moon, where it's close to the earth. And the ancient ceremony was that as the moon became close to the earth, it could touch the earth and roll back the clock 2 years, this year and the previous year. So I've been doing this for about 15 years. So there's 30 years I just shaved off my life.
You look young. You do definitely look young. I would never ask you how old you are, but never ask a woman how old they are, you know, but you absolutely look young.
The ideal answer is I'm ageless.
That's amazing. Now, Maureen, with this class this Friday, is it via Zoom? And what time would that be?
Okay, it is via Zoom, and I think it starts at 4 o'clock. There, like I said, there is a small fee. And we will also be hosting people here in Clarkdale, Arizona. So if you're close to Sedona area or Clarkdale, Cottonwood, that area, then come on down. We will limit it to 33 people
Wow.
who can come in person, but you know, people bring an extra person. So it's quite amazing. And we broadcast live and do it with the group live. It's quite wonderful.
So Where can a person pay? At your website? Because I'm going to
Pay at
post
my
your website
website,
too.
and then if you want to come physically, then just say, I want to attend in person, and then the staff will send you an address.
Oh, wow. I wish I could go.
Well, you
I
can
wish,
attend in person, just send Kim a link,
yeah.
a note, saying you want to come. She'll
Yeah,
take care of it.
I can't come because it's sort of last minute right now, and I do have other interviews that I have scheduled ahead of time already.
Okay.
So, but that's why I wish I would have known before. But I will definitely
Or
get
watch
your
the replay.
your next time, especially going to Arizona. That would be a great place to go.
Yeah.
So now tell us more about your book, your 5D again. What your book entails, Maureen. What is it that readers can get out of this book? I know this is a time of ascension time. And one quick question, Maureen. There's a lot of people talk about solar flare, and some solar flare, they said that it can activate your body into a crystalline and you jump into 5D. Can you tell us about this?
Well, I definitely think that the solar flares can activate us and elevate us.
Okay.
However, I am not of the school that believes that once you get into 5D, you're going to stay there. I kind of make a joke about getting your driver's license. When you get your driver's license, you can get in any car and drive. But if you don't have a car, you have to find a car or find a way. So I look at 5D the same. We know how to drive. We know how to be in 5D, but we can't get there all the time. And we can talk about how to get there. But we don't stay there all the time. Some people do. Most people are still, vacillating a little bit. And that's because we have so many biases, so many belief systems, so many things that hold us back. For example, people are perfectly willing to accept 5D. People are perfectly willing to accept something like letting go of judgment of themselves, but then they're not willing to let go of judgment of somebody else who stole money for them. Or maybe they judge others, but they don't judge themselves. So that's a big stumbling block for a lot of people, because if you can't unhook from that, and personally speaking, even as a devoted mystic, it took me a while, because I had people steal from me. I've had people go on trips with me and their checks bounced, all kinds of wacky stuff happens. And it isn't what happens that matters, it's how we react that matters. Because other people may not be at our level, but we can still interact with 3D. We just have to choose how we're going to respond. So
basically, Maureen, I would think 3D and 5D are just a state of being, a state of emotion that
that's
vibrating,
right. That's right. And not only that, but a lot of people, well, what's going on in 4D? And 4D is the portal. 4D is the nexus that allows us to connect this way. And what's very wonderful is, in the old days, you could think of the nexus between the two of them as being quite narrow. And that narrow place is a place where you have high emotion. So high sadness, high joy, both will put you in this fourth dimensional vibration. So a lot of people have already been sliding around in the dimensions and didn't know it. You have a big upset, you go into the fourth dimension while you're doing this, big emoting. But then the interesting thing is that can allow you to go into 5D, but only if you find the joy in it. So maybe you experience a close family member of death, and you're really upset because they're gone and they're left, but then you move into this place of, but now they're not in pain anymore, and now they can be with source or whatever they want to do, and you move back into joy, and that joy can, even though you're in that heavy emotion, that joy can push you right into bliss. And that can happen. I've seen that happen with people I've worked with. So what's amazing is recently the masters that I work with opened up this nexus and made it completely wide, and it is now called the magnanimous dimension, and it includes third, fourth, and fifth, but they're all the same size, which means that you and I can slide between these dimensions a lot easier. And that allows us, when we get into bliss, everything's different. Everything that we perceive is perceived in a new way. So for example, when I had a comment from my stepsister who had a sharp tongue, and our parents married when they were older, so it wasn't like we knew each other very well. And she was on my case, digging for trouble. But I was in bliss because I was with the family. My sister had passed away. I was moving through that grief into bliss. And when she called me the Ice Queen, I kind of giggled to myself and said, she knew I was a queen in Egypt. That is so cool. So I took what was useful and dismissed everything else. And I remember putting my arm around my stepfather and saying, I really like your daughter, Nan. And I truly tapped into the love within her that was hiding beneath this sharp tongue. Mm-hmm. And it was amazing. And that's what I mean. Your reactions change. Now later, when I'm back maybe in my 3D self or my analytical self, I'm thinking, well, if she was trying to insult me, I don't think she succeeded. And again, it makes me laugh because I'm not attached. I'm not upset. And I've seen lots of other people do the same thing, where if they are in a place of joy and bliss and someone comes at them, they look at it and all they can see is laughter or joy. So one of the ways you're in 5D is because everything is funny. Even, I got a flat tire. Oh, this is too funny. I really didn't want to go to that doctor's appointment. Or this guy is late and didn't come to fix the flat tire when he was supposed to, it took forever. But then I got on the phone with my best friend and we had the best chat we've had in a long time. Stuff like that. So you begin to see that in 5D, all the decisions take you where you want to go. And there is always a hidden benefit that now you can magnify instead of just whatever. So and finally, the best part of one of the ways to get into 5D is to start working with your higher self. And your higher self connection is a wonderful tool that allows people to access their inner wisdom in such a way that they know the best decision to make. And the difference between knowing and trusting is a big deal. Most people who are listening they've had some experience trusting their higher self. But how many people have gotten to the place where they know with absolute certainty about their higher self? So what I want to say about that is the difference between trust and knowing is you trust that I'll show up for our interview, but the sun's going to come up tomorrow. And that there's a slight difference. So there's a part when you go to trust, there's a part that says untrust, not trust. But when you go to knowing, there's no question. And knowing is like mathematics. 2 and 2 is 4. But even in the quantum field, maybe 2 and 2 isn't 4. Who knows? So a lot of what do I want to say? Experience that we have are already 5D. And that's another key. You can even check in. Have I had a 5D experience? And the answer is yes, you probably have. And one of the most obvious one is when you put something down that you use, maybe it's your favorite Vogel crystal, and you put it down where you always put it down. And then when you go to get it, it's not there. And you think to yourself, but I know I put it there. And there's nobody in the room. There's nobody who's been here. How can it have just disappeared? And then later, when you quit looking for it, you notice it's exactly where it's supposed to be. And you think to yourself, how is that possible? How is it possible that I put it down? I went looking for it. It's not there. And now it is there. And the answer is, when you put it down, you are in 5D. You're in this blissful place. You've been working with this lovely crystal. You're in a good zone. And then when you went looking for it, you start to get anxious. And maybe you were stressed out. I need to use my crystal right now. I need to fix something. I need to use it to help me, whatever. And now you're anxious for it. And when you go to look, you're back in 3D.
That's a great example. Yes. So you get all that worry, anxiety just by looking at it instead of letting it go.
Right. And when you let go, I have a story from a woman who is a marvelous spiritual teacher and a good friend of mine. And I gave her this new meditation called the 5D Merkaba. And she did it and went out of her body for 4 hours. And I believe that when that happens, you're recalibrating who you are and what's going on. And she had a favorite heirloom ring, an emerald that, was her grandmother's or something, and she had worn it. And then she came home late one night and decided not to leave it on the dresser. So she put it in her lingerie drawer. And then the next morning she was going to put it away. Well, the next morning when she went looking for it, it wasn't there. And she searched for 3 months. She was sure she had it, sure it was there. She finally said, okay, I guess it's gone. And the next time she opened the drawer, it was right on top.
Oh, how funny. Wow. Why would that happen? Some audience will be asking that. Is it because the universe or your higher self are testing you?
No. See, this is a 3D thinking that you need to be tested. First of all, I'll come back to the answer. But first of all, when we are everything, let's say we're everything, all connected to source, like my background, you have access to everything. There's nothing new. So the only way to make something new is to draw a boundary around yourself and separate from that which is inseparable. Pretend. So then you become one of these little circles, over here, and you make your own world. So now we go to the experience of the friend. She was in a blissful space because she was having a good time and everything was good. And she wanted to take care of her ring, so she put it in a drawer. That's 5D. The next morning she thinks, oh, I should put that away. That's valuable. Now she's in judgment. Now she's a little bit stressed about it. And then the more she looks, the more stressed she gets, because I would be too, for a lot of us girls, we like our jewelry and we don't want to lose it. So it's understandable that she was a little stressed. So I believe that she put it down in 5D, and when she's back in 3D, and keep in mind the dimensions are like nested Russian dolls. So in 5D, you can participate in 3D, but in 3D, you cannot participate in 5D because it's not visible to you. But here, the 5D space is able to participate in 3D. And that's another thing that's never been done before. So we're going to be able to fully participate in 3D, but not be 3D. It's kind of like the phrase, be in the world, but not of the world. So how does that play out in everyday conversation? Well, if someone says something to you, like, I noticed you didn't comb your hair this morning, something, like, come on. In 3D, you might argue with them. Yes, I did. Take another look, that kind of stuff. But in 5D, you would just laugh. You go, yeah, right. That's a good
I actually didn't comb my hair this morning, Maureen. Seriously,
yeah, that's the look, right?
Like that. Yeah.
Just muss it a little and it looks great. Yeah, I hear
it. That's so funny when you say that. I'm like thinking to myself, well, I might as well admit it. I didn't comb my hair. And I'm live on YouTube.
See, that's the 5D response. You see, you're not insulted, you're not offended. In fact, you're admitted. That's 5D. So that helps people see. But if you said, I did too, and you really need to quit bugging me about my appearance, you see, that's like a teenager kind of response. But the idea is, when someone tells you, you need to do this, or this isn't right, and it is okay, your response is laughter. If you got accused of doing a podcast that wasn't uplifting, you would just laugh. You go, yeah, right. That doesn't happen. I don't do that kind of podcast. I only do uplifting stuff. That's my thing. And so that's that laughter, that willingness to be joyful in spite of someone's criticism or critique, or maybe even a helpful comment that they're trying to give you is awesome.
Wow. Now, I was asking you about solar flare earlier, Maureen. Some people may say, oh, hey, all I have to do is just wait for a solar flare to come in, then I'll become activated and I'll be fully connected to my higher self. Would that happen to most people, or without a work, without meditation, without trying to connect to your higher self, it would not be an easy, even with the solar flare coming in?
Okay,
So,
this is a really good question, and I really
yeah.
and I'm going to say it's like hitting critical mass. A wonderful author wrote a book called The Tipping Point, and it's all about, I'm going to call it the teeter-totter. So, if enough people are connected to their higher self and weighing down this ladder, then everybody else is going to get connected to their higher self. But we haven't hit critical mass. So there's incentive. We need to get into that critical mass. And the only way we're going to do it is if I do my part. And it is true that there will be people who have done zero work and they get right in. And there's a number of reasons why that happens. The first reason is because this person's already a master and they're here to help us transform. So, they get around somebody who's meditating, they do the meditation the other person's doing, and boom, they're right in. I had a webmaster attend one of my workshops early on in the early years. And he, when we took him through the higher self connection, and by the way, if you want me to teach that, I will in this interview, so people have an idea what they're doing.
Yeah, I would love to.
So he got connected to his higher self, and he got his signals, and he came to me and said, could your higher self be a woman? And I said, yeah, actually, some women see a man as their higher self. Some men see a woman as their higher self. Some people just see a bright light. Some people don't see anything, but they can feel it. So, yeah, that's possible. And, but then I was curious. And so a couple of weeks later, after the class, I called him and I said, can you tell me why or how you knew that your higher self was a woman? And this is such a guy thing. He said, well, I could see her breasts.
That's a 5D funny stuff.
Now think about this. For this guy who wasn't a member of our little club of, people moving into enlightenment right away.
Yeah.
The only way he would pay attention is if he saw a beautiful woman that wasn't fully clothed, because that would get his attention. He would notice that one and he wouldn't dismiss it because it was a surprise. He wasn't expecting that. So, so I'll tell you.
That's funny.
It is delightful, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it also helps us understand. Now, what I was talking about originally was how can some people get in without doing the work and the rest of us, have to do the work. And the short answer is some people are masters. Some people set it up so that they come in with a lot of heavy responsibilities, stuff going on with family, whatever. And those people are also very likely masters. I had one client who was told in the records that when she asked about why was she subjected to all this abuse from her father, sexual abuse, and the record keeper said, you came in to stop the madness. And she said, oh my gosh, that's true. When he went after my younger family members, I stood in the way and offered myself instead, so that they would not have to go through this. And I said, and you're a spiritual being and you've worked through it. You've mastered that very quickly. So that's another way that a person might come in as a master. If you are a parent and you have a child that has no fear, no matter what you teach them, they're always testing the limits. they're very likely a master. And the only way to raise them is to be connected to your higher self and ask at every juncture, what am I to do? Because the traditional way we've been shown how to raise our children will not work.
Right.
And that you know, the little master you're bringing in is going to help us evolve into the next level. So that's some of the reason why people don't have to do the work. And then there is another category of people that I will call extras, like extras in a movie. And the extras are just playing a role. And as soon as you and I step up to the highest place we can be, the resistance that those extras were offering are gone. Because it was just a role that we were playing till we could get to, oh yeah, I know who I really am. And remember that whole thing about the bubble we create around ourselves, to forget to separate from that which is inseparable, to forget that we really are part of source and that we belong, you know, we're much bigger than the little bubble we put around ourselves. Right. So I think that there are people who are gaining mastery for this lifetime, and that's what they chose. And a lot of those women are married to men that already did it. And it appears that the beloved isn't interested in this work, but they don't oppose you. They like it that you're in it, and they're happy if you need to spend money. That's got to be a master. He's already done it. He doesn't care. And you know, I just had a client in China, and the first thing out of the hopper was everyone marches to the beat of their own drummer, and you must honor and recognize that there will be, and there are members of your family who are not interested in the work you do, and that's okay. And she said to me, that was my first question. I want my husband to do the spiritual work I'm doing. And the record keeper said, you know what? He's fine the way he is. And they started out by telling this. And that's something that we do in this lineage of Akashic Records that nobody else does. And that's called opening remarks, where we literally deliver a message from the record keepers before any questions get asked. So it's very interesting that was set up that way. And that was simply guidance. You know, I was just following orders here. So
wow. So Maureen, you mentioned earlier that if anyone wants to connect with the higher self, you wanted to show during this show.
Okay.
Can you show us? Because I'm sure people would be like delighted to, you know, connect with the higher self, connect themselves into the 5D.
So what we're going to do is we're going to go through a little meditation, and then I'm going to teach you 3 things that you have to do for 6 weeks. So the first thing I'm going to do is have you close your eyes and get in a comfortable position, feet flat on the floor, back straight if you can. And now think of a baby, holding a baby or a pet or a walk on the beach, something that makes you really happy. And let that feeling fill your heart. And then let that feeling move up your pranic tube, past your throat chakra, your third eye, your crown, all the way up to the 8th chakra, where the portal to your higher self is. And when you reach that spot, you just energetically invite your higher self to join you in your heart. And while you're doing this, you imagine that the higher self energy is so big that your pranic tube actually widens and your channel widens and improves your connection. Now that you have your higher self in your heart, you're going to tell your higher self, look, I really want to improve my connection. No matter how good it is or how weak it is, I want it to grow. I want to be really, really clear. So I need symbols or signals. So higher self, give me my symbol or signal for yes. It could be a color or a shape or another kind of visual like a thumbs up. It could be a sensation in your body, an itchy ear, a sensation of moving, pulling forward. It could be a taste in your mouth, a sound in your head. Again, higher self, show me my signal for yes. Some people actually hear the word yes as if someone spoke it in their head. Thank you. Higher self, show me my symbol or signal for no. What does no look like, feel like, taste like, sound like? Again, higher self, show me my symbol or signal for no. Thank you. Higher self, give me my symbol or signal for neutral. For a lot of people, neutral feels like an emptiness in the central column or in the torso of the body. It just feels like there's nothing there. And neutral has many meanings, but it isn't maybe. So again, higher self, show me neutral. Okay, higher self, no matter how faint it was or how weak the signal was, I'm asking you to help me make those signals stronger and stronger. And I will do my part and practice every day for 45 days. Thank you. Okay, so open your eyes and write down what you got. Practically everybody gets something, some kind of symbol or signal. So you write down what you got, and then you you practice for 45 days. Now, what I like to do is have you define the date ahead of time. So assuming that you post this by
Today,
then then what we would do is we would go to about the 22nd of October. Okay, so from now until October 22nd, and you always want to know the forward date. So if you're watching this later, just figure out your future date now and write it down, because it's easy to remember when you're going to stop something than it is to remember when you started. So you just go right to the stop date and you do 3 things. You ask yes, no questions about stuff you don't care about 40, 50 times a day. That means when you're looking at what to have for breakfast, higher self, oatmeal. Is it my highest best good to have oatmeal? No. Higher self, is it my highest best good to have eggs? No. Higher self, is in my highest best good to have a smoothie? Yes. And each time you ask, addressing the higher self by its name, higher self, and not a nickname. And then the question is always, is it in my highest and best good to take this action? So in the first rule, you're only asking about action steps you are going to take. Not asking about what everybody else is going to do or what anything else is going to do, just you. The second rule is, if you ask, you must follow through. So if you're looking at this great bagel or donut and you really want to have it, you're really hungry, just eat it and enjoy it. If, however, you can pass, I could eat it, it really looks good, but I can pass, I can skip it, then ask, okay? So don't be asking about stuff that you really care about. If you're a vegan, don't ask if you can have meat. Don't even go there. If you're a smoker, don't ask if you should quit smoking, okay? Those are important questions. And you can only ask the same question twice. And the reason for that is, if it comes up muddy and you want to ask again, you can. If it comes up muddy, you can also ask, show me yes, show me no, show me neutral, and then ask a second time. If you're asking 3 times, you suddenly made it important, and then it's no longer a practice. You've made it important. And if you need to make an important decision, like when to take a vacation or anything like that, then what you want to do is make those a rare exception during your practice period. After your practice period is done, your connection to your higher self is strong enough that you can really know that it's your higher self. And then you can even ask difficult questions. When I have a difficult question, what I mean by difficult is I really want to do something, but I also want to follow my higher self. So maybe the way you center yourself is higher self, show me yes, higher self, show me no, higher self, show me neutral, and then ask your question. And that way you cleared the field of your bias and everything. And, like, I really want to sleep in, but if you want me to go to the park first thing in the morning, I'll consider it. I'll ask my higher self. Your higher self says go. But you don't do that without clearing the field enough to be sure you've got a good answer. And the more you use it, the more fun it becomes. Everybody that I know uses it for cooking and for what book to buy, what clothes to wear, all of it. And it's a lot of fun. And one of my favorite stories is about a woman who came to class after we had taught this, and she was wearing a very unusual combination of jewelry and clothing. And that look we women give each other. Oh, I like that jacket. I wonder where she got it. I wonder if I can get one. It's not a jealousy, but it's admiration. But it's a certain look. She caught somebody doing that, giving her that look. And she shook her finger and I said, don't even ask. My higher self dressed me today. And so, if you're willing to be playful and to be, joyful and just, let it come, your higher self will step in and give you good information. The day you wear a red top is the day you spill ketchup, things like that, and there's so many wonderful things that happen during your 6 weeks of practice. You ask what restaurant am I to go to the pizza place? No. Higher self is in my highest and best good to go to the Chinese place. No. Higher self is in my highest and best good to go to the Thai place. Yes. You go to the Thai place and you run into somebody you've been looking for. Those kinds of wonderful things happen. And it is only in hindsight that you can accept that your higher self has got the goods. And then the final rule is you set aside all your other divination tools. So no muscle testing, no pendulums, no cards. You just set all that aside for 6 weeks. And, some people say, well, can I go back to using my pendulum after my practice period? And the answer is yes, but you won't want to, because your higher self is way stronger than any other tool that you could have.
Wow, I love that, Maureen, because this is a good way to actually connect people to their own higher self by listening to their intuition, and by doing for 6 weeks, they'll get into the habit of doing that. And you're so right about that. That's why I'm like, oh, wow. That's so amazing, Maureen. Now, Maureen, you just wrote the newest book, which is 5Ds and How to Stay There. What about the other books? Yes, that's a new one. What about other books that you have? You can actually briefly tell the audience what they are, because some of them, they were about, I saw Flower of Life, the Merkaba, which I think they sound so fascinating.
Yeah, you can see how many marks I've got in this book. Beyond the Flower of Life is the book that I wrote after the Merkaba training that I'm teaching for my 10 years. So I kept a lot of notes and journaled every day on what was happening in the classes. And I traveled all over the US, and I taught every weekend except Mother's Day and Easter and Thanksgiving and Christmas. So I was on the road in a different city, 30, 40, 45 times a year.
Wow.
So I had a lot of information that was coming through in the moment. For me, when people asked a question, the information would just flow.
Can you tell the audience real quick, what is the Flower of Life?
The Flower of Life is this symbol. It's sort of on my background, but it is a symbol that has many meanings. And so it's a circle of circles. And let me just get my image of it for you to see. And
it's so cool. It looks like you're going into the tunnel of light as you walk in through your background there. Love that.
I'm coming right in from 5D. So
right?
This is the symbol called the Flower of Life.
Right.
And this symbol has a lot of meanings hidden within it. And it's used to help people recognize that they're part of Source. And then this helps people get their energy field known as the Merkaba activated. And the Merkaba shape is this shape. And we build a field like this around our bodies. And that's a whole series of information. And what I did with this particular work is I made a video of one of the many classes that I taught over the years. And so when people want to learn that meditation, that Merkaba meditation, they can.
Well, what would be the benefit of taking Merkaba meditation, Maureen?
Well,
some people would.
The Merkaba field, and here's a smaller version. The Merkaba field is so powerful that it makes you fifth dimensional, whether you have earned it or not. And so And that's how come doing the Merkaba since 1995, I have been able to access fifth dimensional information. So if you really wanted to, if you're really serious about becoming fifth dimensional, learn the Merkaba meditation and do that regularly, and then it will go permanent at some point. And this will allow you to kind of put on the uniform of being fifth dimensional without having earned it. And then you can step up into it. So this book, Beyond the Flower of Life, then talks about, after you know the Merkaba, what can you do with it? And because it's all about a follow-up to meditation, this book is valuable for anybody who does any kind of meditation, because it's got all kinds of insider information on how it works and why it works.
Nice.
And then this book we talked about briefly, but this was the thing that started the whole 5D revolution, in my opinion, because it really was the first book on 5D.
Waking up in 5D, waking up in 5D, correct?
Waking up in 5D. And this book tells about all the experiences people are having where they're sliding into 5D, but they haven't quite sorted it out on how that, what that means.
This is perfect. This is perfect, Maureen, because a lot of people in my audience, they were, typing, making comments about, oh, what is it like to wake up in the 5D? So I think this book would be kind of useful for them. Totally. Yeah.
And then because I've been working in the Akashic Records for so long, I wrote a book on how to open the Akashic Records. And this is really a primer. It will teach you everything you need to know. The advantage of taking a class and having the book is that the class we create opportunities for you to work with other people and be in that same space of, a safe space where you're practicing on someone who's also practicing on you. So, there's no ego, and everybody has such a fun time because they start to get how easy it is once you know what you're doing. It's like learning to drive. It's easy to drive, but you have to learn a whole bunch of things and you have to memorize a few things and you're good to go. And that's kind of what the Akashic Records is all about. And then this book, Mastering Your 5D Self, is the one that we've been talking about. And this book has all kinds of, I'll call them advanced tools on what happens when you become fifth dimensional. And I'd like to close with the idea, two ideas really. First one is a channeled message from Sanat Kumara. And he said about the fact that there's no more karma. He said, the game has ended. And he was referring, of course, to the 3D game. So the game is ended. You can just hear, if you're playing a video game, you can just hear the game is over. Okay, so the game is ended. The game will end when there are no more players. And that means we have to exit that game to get the other one going. And then he said, will you be the first to leave or the last?
Whoa, good question.
So really gets you thinking, okay, I'm out, I'm not doing this. Now, again, I want to go back to the number one problem we all encounter is, can we forgive ourselves for our past transgressions? And can we forgive others their transgressions? And, those are tricky. When you don't have a lot of money and someone borrowed money and never paid it back, that's tough to unhook from. So I understand. Now, the final thing I want to share, and this is something you can do every day, and I'm being told to review the 3 rules. Okay, let's review the 3 rules. The first rule is always ask unimportant, insignificant questions 30 or 40 times a day for 45 days. And if you can't think of 30 or 40 questions, then make a list of what you're willing to ask. And you'll find, oh yeah, there's a few things I can ask. And the second rule is, if you ask, follow through, no exceptions. And the third rule is set aside all your other divination tools for the 6 weeks period so that you are not trying to learn French and German at the same time. Right? You just set everything else aside and then you won't be tempted to test it. And you can't ask testing questions. You can't ask, will it rain today? You could ask, is it my highest and best good to carry an umbrella? Okay. So the final part that I wanted to share with everyone is one of the ways that you can start to create 5D for yourself every day is to say, I'm asking for a day of heaven on earth for me and everyone I come in contact with and everyone I am in contract with. And what that does is creates a field around you that is so loving and supportive and allowing that even if the teller at the bank got a hard time from the person before you, when she gets into your field, when you step up to the counter, she's all roses and candy and love because she can feel your field. She doesn't know why she's being so yummy, but it's all good.
I love that. Beautiful, Maureen. Oh, guys, are you ready to start this thing with me? 45 days. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. I think that's great.
Let's do it. Let's do
And
it.
then-
Post your comments and share what your experience is, And I'm going to post Maureen's website, St. Germain Mystery School. You can check out all her meditation, her classes, her books, and everything that you want. Contact her. She is so amazing. My God, Maureen, you're just so amazing. I'm listening to you and my heart just like opening up while I hear her with it's like, wow, she's amazing. I want to thank you so much for being here, Maureen. Thank you so much for your time, your wisdom, and what you just share with all of us here. This is something that everyone can take home today, a gift from Maureen to help you connect with your higher self and for you to get into this 5D and be the first one who jumped into the exit game.
I do have some supplemental materials. So anyone who wants those supplemental materials, if you will give us your information, then, and just send an email to Kat, K-A-T, at St. Germain Mystery School.com, and she can send you a link. And we do have a proper link. So maybe when you post this, you can put it on the bottom. I don't know what it is right now, but I can get it from Kat.
Yeah. We'll have Kat email. I'll put Kat email. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask her for all the links that I should put it in the under description here and all the email too that you can connect with. Also, all the links to the books that you would like to grab and see which one you wanted to, read first. And, anything you have questions, to Maureen, post it. Oh, don't forget about this Friday class. The event.
Annual once a year you thing. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, 4 p.m. guys. So email Kim for that. So I'm gonna put Kim's email so people can get hold.
Yeah, we'll put.
Should I
put the link to the class?
Okay. If I'm gonna ask Kim to do that. Send me the link, direct link, so every just go and click it. Easy. Sounds good.
All right.
Maureen, thank you so much for your time and for your wisdom. I love this talk. This is absolutely amazing. Guys, thank you so much for watching this and supporting this channel. I really appreciate you guys from the bottom of my heart and your time, your support. Don't forget to click like, subscribe, and share this. Please share this video because they need to listen to Maureen about this 5D thing, really, to keep themselves into that positive vibe. I love that. I'm going to share with my family and my close one as well. Thank you so much, Maureen. Maybe one of these days I have to look into your classes because you're such an amazing teacher.
A lot of classes, wonderful things. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye. A lot of hugs to everyone. Take care. Bye-bye, Maureen.